Hello, Gravitrons. I'm more gravity. Let's play chess. Finished this game about a minute or two ago. As you can see, it was not accurate. We did not play accurate chess. This was not high quality overall, but there were some things in there that I wanted to share. And I'm going to do that now. I played e4, and then after c6, we're in the Caro-Kann. I think the c4 after c6 is a strong move for white, and we'll see a lot of action on black's queen side and in the sort of the queen side of the center, even the sweet center. And some of these pawns will get active. That arrow didn't make sense, but some of these will, like this one, pawn to d5. It's pawn to d5 and then trades in the center. I actually mouse slipped here with e5. I had intended to capture on d5, which is indeed the book move or the best move or both. And I can't erase that line. I don't want this to be here. Okay, what we'll do then is close this and open it up again. Sorry about that. So while we wait for that, we had the move e5, which is playable, but is not my usual move here, which would be to capture on d5 and onward from that. Okay, so we played e5. Looks, Torch 4 says this is a good move. I would have rather captured on d5. Queen captures on d5. Knight to c3, and then queen to either a5 or d8 most often. Sometimes queen to e5 check, and I block usually with my queen, and at some point there'll be an exchange of queens, and we get this sort of queenless middle game. And aren't those fun? So we'll move forward from there. My opponent played bishop f5. I want to keep things compact here in the middle. I do not want black expanding with d4. Why? Mostly because if I play, say, knight f3, which is a good developing move, my opponent can play knight d4 now. The pawn is protected and only attacked once. But at that, there is more protection for this d4, for the black pawn on d4 with, say, knight to c6. If this pawn, goes the way of the dodo bird, then moves like e5 grab a lot of space in the center while also protecting this pawn that would now be on d4. So I played d4, sort of just make things more compact, a little more closed. We can't quite call this a closed position. There are ways for black to open it, but I felt more comfortable this way because I know I'm going to be developing knight f3, and the knight will be helping control the center there as well. So it's a strong formation for white. And pawn to e6. It's a good move. Look, black's light squared bishop is developed outside the pawn chain, so closing it behind him is not a bad thing. Black's dark squared bishop is now ready to jump into action. And oftentimes, this bishop has a lot of good choices in front of him. With my pawn center as it is, he has fewer than usual. So between either bishop e7 or bishop b4, once the pawn is already moved, there's only two, and e7 is not all that grand. So this is a move that recognizes limited space for a developing piece, and that's very high quality, high end or high level chess. Okay, I chose mostly just to ignore it. I'm going to continue to battle on the queen side here with the move bishop b5 check and just put black under some pressure. Uh, Knight to c6 is the best move. And now even e6, which we remember we liked this earlier. I think um, stock Torch did too. Yeah, it's the best move. Even now e6 looks not the greatest thing because it was preventing the bishop at f5 coming back and breaking the pin, or taking the attack, or jumping in front of the attack on the king quite directly. Queen to a4, maybe a little bit over ambitious here for white. And Torch 4 likes knight e7 here. What Torch is saying here is, look, this is a battery against the c6 knight. So what? The knight's protected. I can come here and protect him again by moving to e7. And in fact, the situation is so static against this goofy two-piece attack that I can play knight e7 and worry about my dark squared bishop's development later. I would probably see something like pawn to g5, maybe pawn to g6, but that's a little bit dicey against a bishop that can't retreat. And then either a fianchetto, which is also not that great because of the pawn on e5, but what I'm looking at is bishop to h6. And you say, yeah, white can capture. Sure, white can capture. Bishop takes h6, knight takes h6, and now black is ready to castle. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. I have this wrong. This knight is on e7. So, bishop to h6 is out. I don't know. Now I'm not sure. But queen a4. Let's go and see what Torch 4 had for us after knight e7. Knight e7, knight e2. a6. Bishop takes c6, check. Knight takes c6. And then white castles kingside. It just looks kind of like... Here we are, many moves down the line, and minor pieces are equal. Queens and rooks are equal. 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Pawns are equal. So, 15 full moves later, white doesn't have a material advantage. I'm not convinced. Okay, so I'm sorry to say that against Torch 4, but I'm not buying e7 here. Mostly because that bishop h6 doesn't pan out for black. So instead, maybe my opponent played the best move. Oh no, wait, this is after the queen. Yeah, maybe my opponent played the best move. Now, is this the same line? Yeah, material parity many moves later. So I'm not convinced, honestly, about knight e7 here. So anyway, my opponent played queen to c7, which I think is fine. My move would suggest rook c8. Make better of your weakest pieces. What we notice is it's early, right? We're on move 7 or thereabouts. So a lot of pieces are still in their starting squares. This is the rook's assignment now. To, with the pawn at b7, protect the knight at c6. My opponent played queen to c7, and I'm playing knight f3 as per, as advertised, so to speak. And then with pawn to a6, it's a good move. Pawn to a6 is a good move. What did I play? I played this inaccuracy. Yeah. But with pawn to a6, it might be resting on the idea of pawn takes b5, which is bad because of queen takes a8 check, and black is losing the exchange, doubling pawns, and there's this some sort of business around the king. Might need to move a timely block in one manner or another. So pawn to a6, I think, still keeps things within white's control in terms of initiative. Right, I can still instigate an attack on the queen side and not have to worry too much about losing material and put the onus of having to avoid losing material on my opponent. It doesn't mean with best play that my opponent's going to miss an equalizing variation, right? But a takes b5, queen takes a8 check. One of these blocks. This would happen to be particularly bad. We would want to see for black. If you're rooting for black here, you're rooting for queen to b8 or queen to d8. I like queen to d8, especially for it's might be slightly better. But Torch 4 likes queen to b8. They're about the same. So queen to b8, and then after queen to b8, I'll take off the queens. Black backpedals, and he's got horribly damaged queenside pawns, and he's down the exchange. He or she are down the exchange at that point. I missed some sort of. I missed a lot of moves here. Played a really bad move. Maybe with more time, I don't know. I would have seen a better move. But pretty much just developing my knight. I say to c3. Torch 4 says to a3 with c3 as a secondary option for that. Just developing this knight. There's so many options. This is there's no one way that's so extremely compelling. But if we play knight to c3, then we might have rook to c1 following, threatening discovered attack, and would that be devastating? There's a pin on a knight on the 8th rank. Somehow this is going to unfold against black's favor. So I kind of I went for this, what do you call it, one off or one shot attack from my dark squared bishop. Alright, just this goofy attack against the queen, thinking my opponent will move out of the way, and then I'll have the knight on b8 with check, and that's not quite what happened. There were better moves. Queen to c1. Doesn't this look like maybe black has found a perpetual check? Try to get out of it with blocking by knight to d2. Yeah. So in a time controlled game, in a tournament game, bishop to a5 is not good. Not a good thing. In a game of this speed, sometimes the tactics are missed, and I agree that pawn to b6 does so. I'm retreating my bishop, and black is given some time to consolidate or maybe minimize the damage caused by the oncoming onslaught. There's still an onslaught coming here against black. The question is, will white be able to find the right moves to make it work and enforce the win, or will black be able to shore up some things and maybe pounce on an error in an opportunistic fashion? All right. This is a good move. Knight c3 is good. Mostly, I'm looking here. It took me 3 seconds to play that move. Mostly I'm just looking at overall, what are the chances here? There could be some saving move. There isn't. If Torch 4 can't find it, I'm gonna say there's no saving move here for black. But even short of that, just this knight is in here so strongly. He's got this outpost on d6 to render an attack against black's king at e8. So knight to d6 check, and he's protected in that. There's 2 squares for the king in that way. And then there's, I mean, even some of the safe squares for Black's queen abandoned the knight on b8. I think this is a forced win. This would be a good chess puzzle to look at and say there are a lot of wins here. Which one do you like, or something like that? You know, not right here with Black to move. Maybe here with White to move, or however. Uh, Even here with White to move. This would be a good chess puzzle moment, taken from a real game and all. And we know that Dr. Paul DeGroot has shown that that makes a big difference for uh, a chess master exerting superiority of memorization of chess positions over chess amateurs and non-chess players. So this is taken from a real game. It has more relevance. Is one of the ideas at play there. Okay, knight to b5, queen comes down here, and capturing on b8 with check. I'm gonna win at least most of the queen, and then just apply pressure. There's no good move, and checkmate. Rook takes c8. Look, neither my opponent nor I had a great game. I had one mistake or worse, but it was a fun game, and I don't think we really have anything to hang our heads in dejection about. Just that once in a while you end up in a inaccurate game. Game in 3 minutes per side is like that. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Gravitrons. I'm More Gravity. Have a great night.